The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
As a former New Hampshire state representative who marched with Dr. Martin Luther King in 1963, he currently serves on the New Hampshire Commission for Human Rights. He's a product of Birmingham, Alabama, where at one time he had to guess how many jelly beans were in a fruit jar just to be able to vote.
We've come a long way, but we're not there yet.
Together we will explore the visible laws, invisible laws, and the structures above and beneath our human surface that keep us reaching for the stars. It is his goal to work with you in putting Nashua back on top, to be voted the #1 city in the nation again.
We are in a crisis situation, and that's what we're going to talk about.
I'm Harvey Keye. Welcome to Nashua Strong.
Good afternoon, Nashua. My name is Harvey Keye. I am the host to this marvelous Access to Nashua television show, which is locally located right here in Nashua. We have a footprint of about 90,000 people who live in Nashua and thrive in Nashua and grow in Nashua and help make Nashua a beautiful place. Then we get onto YouTube. We go around the world. And then we have an internet fixation that we also go around the world on. It's called accessnashua.org. So I just want you to know that. And before we go any further, usually I have something to say other than what I'm going to say. I want to tell you a little story. When I asked Sister Paula to come on to my show, I went back to my office and I said, doggone it, what have you done? Asking Sister Paula to come on to you, what are you going to say to her? And then I thought about having gone to the school. This is my alma mater that she is now the president. What am I going to say to her? What am I going to say to Dr. Regina Shear, who is at the school, and I remember from the Temptations that she sang with, I believe it was Temptation. And then Dr. Shigori Memory, he's not there, but I'm sure he's looking down on Harvey and say, Harvey, what are you going to say? And I said to myself, Harvey, this better be the best interview that you've ever had. And then I said, how do I open this show with her? And I was on the welcoming committee for I call her Sister Paula. And I don't think she has a doctor. She doesn't want me to call her a doctor. She wants me to call her Sister Paula. And I was on that welcome committee. I thought it was about 5 to 7 years ago. She said it was 9 years ago, so time really flies. But I want to tell you a little story about my growing up in Birmingham and having to go to a Catholic school. I was a bad boy, very bad boy, but I lived on the rough side of town. I lived where the coal mines were, the steel mills were. The trains came and brought in stuff and took it out. And I grew up on the railroad track. I was rough. I was tough. I was so rough and tough, they put me out of public school. And my mother said, well, you got to go to school, and they won't let you in the public school because you're too bad. And she said, well, you have to go to a Catholic school. Well, Catholic school was not over where the railroads were, or the pipe shops were, or the coal mines were. It was on the other side of Birmingham, the nice side, like Smithfield and Ensley and Fairfield. And she got enough money, which is $200 a year, to go to this high school. And we got over to the high school, and I was introduced to, I will never forget this lady, this sister. Mm-hmm. Her name is Sister Mary Honora. And my mother left me there. I was a little bit scared. But Sister Mary Honora said to me, Harvey, your record precedes you. And you're coming to this school, And I want you to know, if you want to be worthwhile, just listen to me. And if you don't, I'm going to put this ruler on the back of your hand. Well, that was in the 1950s. No, that was 46, 47, because I graduated in 1950. And the word she left with me is that you want to become worthwhile. You're going to listen. We're going to help you do that if you want to do it. And boy, did she help me do it. I went there in the 10th grade, or 9th grade maybe, 10th grade. And I matriculated under Sister Mary Honora, which I love, and Father Lala, which I also love. But she was my mentor, my coach, my head whipper, my pusher, my embracer. I graduated from Immaculata High School with the highest grades in my class, chemistry, English, and science. And I was deemed before I got to Immaculata High to do two things, to be killed because I was trying to kill somebody, or be in jail for killing somebody. That was my two options. And Sister Mary Honora said, Harvey, you want to become worthwhile, just listen to me. I did. And she helped me, you know. So I thank her. I don't know if she's still around. I spoke with one of my classroom persons who graduated with me 100 years ago. And she said, Father Lala now lives in Philadelphia, New York, or someplace. And that was just last week because I'll reach out to him if I can. At any rate, I won a scholarship to college from Immaculata High School because of this. I don't want to call it a religious education, but I want to call it, and maybe we could call it that, because it was a religious school. And where I went to school, we didn't say any prayers. But when I went to Immaculata, we said a Hail Mary every day. And somehow that stuck with me. I'm not religious. I'm almost. I'm close. But I just want to say to Nashua and the world that this kind of education, and if you believe in, I guess I want to call it just doing the right thing and trying to become the best human being you can become. This kind of school is not a bad way to go. And I want to suggest to our audience around the world and right here in Nashua, New Hampshire, and those people who have never heard me say that, because they don't think I did that, but I did do that. And then I went to Korean conflict, came back to Birmingham, and could not vote. And I was told if I wanted to vote, I had to count the number of beads in a jar. And I said, Mister, I'll take your neck and ring it off. He said, then I'll shoot you and nothing will be done about it. Well, I walked away because I was smarter now. And I found my way to New Hampshire. And they allowed me to vote. They allowed me to become a state representative. And now I'm a human rights commissioner for the state of New Hampshire. I served at my school called Rivier College 100 years ago, and on the board of trustees. That was a long time ago. And I just want to tell you before I introduce you to one of the most prized guests I've had on the show since I've had it. Before I introduce her, I want to tell you that Rivier College accepted me as one of the first male students in the graduate school. And I've forgotten the years, late 70s or 80s, and I graduated under a fantastic man who was the dean of the business school, Dr. Shigori. And I want to just tell you how proud I am to do this. I want the world to hear it. I want especially Nashua to hear it. I want Nashuans to know that I'm introducing to you today Sister Paula, who is now the president of Rivier University, and it was a college before. I want Jim Donchers to please listen to this lady, and we're going to get together and do some things. Now, Sister Paula, she's heard me say all of these things. She didn't know this stuff because I didn't tell her. I want to introduce you to one of my most prized guest, Sister Paula, president of Rivier University. But before she says anything, I want to ask a couple of questions, because you want to know this too. Where are you from, sister?
Well, first, Harvey, it's just wonderful to be with you and to learn your story of Catholic education. I'm a native Philadelphian, and I went to school in Delaware County, right outside of Philadelphia. Had a wonderful childhood growing up, and not unlike the Boston metro area, I had my favorite sports teams. So we could root for the Phillies and the Sixers and the Flyers.
That's great. Now, you were young. Did you play? Which school? Where did you go to school?
My undergraduate work is from Immaculata University in
Same
Chester
school.
County.
See, my
Same
school.
name.
Yeah. Did you play a sport?
No, not in any formal way.
Yeah.
I did hiking and backpacking and things along those lines, but not really a team sport.
What was your first job, sister, when you early on, like in 8th grade? I know you're too young to have to do all that. They didn't make you do much of that at that time. But when before you became interested in furthering your education, you had to have a job.
Yeah, of course. I was a waitress.
A waitress?
A waitress and a lifeguard.
Well, about that. How old were you as a lifeguard?
As a lifeguard, I was 16.
16?
Yeah.
How much money did you make?
Probably $3 an hour. Not much more.
That's great. Well, I don't think the Nashuans know that Sister Paula was a waitress, had to work, and all work is honorable. And she became a lifeguard at 16. And when did you get to be involved in religion?
Well, growing up, our family and our neighborhood was religious, Catholic, and my mom and dad were a great example of that. And we went to Mass, and the parish was part of our lives. And when I went to Immaculata University, sponsored by the Sisters of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, they were really a key inspiration in my vocation and in my work in not only higher education, but I also taught junior high school before I moved into administration.
Well, when did you become a nun? I guess you do. Is that the way you get to be
professed? I was professed in 1980, and
Did you wear the habit like? Nuns?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I ask you that because, sister, when I was in high school, the nuns played baseball with us, and they had these habits on, and they could run like they had pants on,
right?
And I was just amazed because they didn't play football or basketball, but a couple of those sisters played basketball in the habit, and a couple of sisters could hit the ball. Sister Mary Honora could hit it out of the park,
right?
And she had a habit on hitting the ball. That was amazing.
Yeah.
So. Now, which school did you go to, college?
Well, I graduated from Immaculata University, and as I moved along, my MBA's from Villanova University. You've heard of them, and a great basketball team.
What was the coach's name that was so
Rolly
famous?
Massimino.
Yeah.
Now Jay Wright is a famous coach now, and had the opportunity to study for my doctorate at the University of Pennsylvania.
So you have a PhD?
EDD, Doctorate in Education, in higher education. And then as I was Executive Vice President at Mount St. Mary's in Emmitsburg, Maryland, I had an opportunity to go to Georgetown for a master's degree in Catholic Studies. So, when you're in a university setting, and I think Rivier exemplifies this, you're a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
And we're lifelong learners at Rivier.
And you have someone on the Board of Trustees, Joe LaPlante, who is from Georgetown also.
Well, Judge
grew up here.
Yes, Judge LaPlante is our vice chair, and just an amazing influence and wisdom and impact on the university community.
Well, he's a big plus to our community
We're
here.
very, very fortunate.
Thank you so much. Now, you're the president of our school. I'm so proud of you. You went to Immaculata. I went to Immaculata. There's some similarities there, but it might have stopped right there. But she went on. I did get a master's from Rivier University, and it helped me tremendously. I didn't have a great grade point, but Dr. Shigora said somebody got to be at the bottom. So I wasn't at the bottom, but I wasn't at the top either because I worked in the hospital equipment business in 6 states while I went to school.
Yeah.
But at any rate, I want to ask you, when you came here, we were a college, and your vision to become a university and passion and obviously team building came to be part of your history, bringing it to us. And how does that work out for you?
Well, when I arrived at Rivier, I was very fortunate in that Rivier College was on its way to becoming a university. Our first doctoral program, written by Dr. William Farrell and Dr. John Gleason, was in education. And one of the primary criteria for having a university designation is that you have doctoral education. And so from this EDD, Doctorate in Education, we've moved forward with a doctorate in counseling psychology and a doctorate in nursing practice. So with that doctoral education as a foundation, we were able to apply to New Hampshire. And you might want to ask the question, well, why would you want to move from college to university? Well, it's an interesting fact that the word college, around the world typically denotes high school. So if you go to Canada, there's a Rivier College. Well, in Canada, that means high school. And so with our mission of transforming hearts and minds to serve the world, we wanted to open the institution not only to Nashua and the region beyond, but we wanted to make sure that students from around the world knew that they would be welcomed at Rivier and that we were indeed a university, an institution of post-secondary education.
That leads me to this question. How do you attract students from around the world or professors from around the world? Now that you're a university, and to me, you're the strongest university in this town, do you attract and appeal to other countries?
We do, and I think there's 3 reasons why Rivier is an attractive place for students from other countries, but also from diverse backgrounds to study at Rivier. I think first has to be our faculty, and whether it's at the undergraduate level, graduate or doctoral level, our faculty are invested in the success of our students. And students recognize that, just as you recognized it at your Immaculata High School. We believe in our students, we believe in their success. So number 1, it's faculty. Number 2,
Let me ask you this, sister.
Yeah.
Now, and you're saying believe in, and we hear the words, but what practically does believe in? Now, I'm sort of like asking you to tell me how I feel. When you say believe in, I got the feeling that I was embraced. It was a complete follow through of not only the schoolwork, but homework and thinking and feeling about other people.
Well, let's dig a little bit deeper into that word. So what does it mean to believe in? Well, I think you hit a concept, encouragement. So students need encouragement. Number 2, students don't come to us just as a little brain. They come to us with a life, with responsibilities, with worries at sometimes, with jobs for sure. And so our faculty, both graduate and undergraduate, recognize that the process of education is of the total person. I think that's a second example of faculty believing in students.
Would you say, sister, that that is one of the differences between, I don't want to, a religious education, I don't want to call it that, I want to call it what it is. That is. I mean, a religious education, I went to a Presbyterian college. Mm-hmm. And even though it was not Catholic, the relationship building and the interest in my development was huge. One of my mathematics teachers said to me at Johnson C. Smith University, Harvey, if you don't get your homework, I'm going to call your mother. My mother lived in Birmingham, Alabama. Charlotte was where the school was. Now, you don't get that every day now. And I think there's something missing. And not as bad, but in that kind of surrounding, we get to feel worthwhile and wanted and loved. Would you say that is close?
I would say the exact words of students are encouraged. They're offered the tools for success. And any process of education is a process of growth. So at Rivier, students have this space to grow. They have this space to think. And for our undergraduates, the core curriculum is built on 4 questions that only the student can answer. It's, who am I? Really an ancient question. Who is my neighbor? What shall I do? How shall I live?
Wow.
4 questions that are offered to our students and that our faculty are able to inspire and elevate and guide and encourage students to think deeply. And then from those answers, students think of, what shall I do? What job do I want? More important, what career path do I wish to embark on? What profession do I have? Finally, where is my life's passion? Where's my life's vocation? And so this happens over time. Doesn't happen the first week. But I think a Rivier education provides that environment, not unlike the studio. It's a space for learning, for exploring. The core mission of the university is transforming hearts and minds to serve the world. So we want our students to see the world at Rivier. We want our students to see the world beyond Rivier. And that's the hallmark, and that's based on the history of the institution and the founder, Sister Madeline of Jesus, in 1933. But in every generation, it's based on our faculty, our academic staff, our student affairs staff, our administrative staff, all who see themselves as part of an environment in which students have an opportunity to learn, to grow, to develop.
Fantastic. Let me ask you this, sister. You couldn't have done all of this by yourself. All of this coming from where I came from to become one of the finest universities in the world. I know that takes, I believe, team building. And could you just expand on how you have been so successful in building fantastic teams from the time you got here?
Well,
that's a big question, I know.
Well, the first part of your question is absolutely correct. I didn't do it all myself. In fact, I'm part of the evolution of the university. And so, I would first give credit to our board of trustees that really saw a vision consistent with the university's motto. Do you know the motto of Rivier? This is a Latin test, Harvey.
I don't speak Latin, sister.
All right.
I've forgotten it.
The motto of Rivier in Latin is Altiora et Meliora. It means higher and better. So from the beginning, our board of trustees and their desire to have a strategic plan was part of higher and better. And then, you really have to give credit to our deans and to our faculty, because while, we have a history and we have a mission and values, so much of a university is about the curriculum.
Does it ever end?
No, it never ends.
It has no ending. It's abundantly clear that it's a continuum.
That's right. And someday somebody will stand on my shoulders just as I'm standing on other people's shoulders. So it's evolutionary.
And would you add, sister, maybe Martin Luther King's, one of his quotes is, "What have you done for others today?" That's what I feel deeply about having gone to Immaculata High, Johnson C. Smith University, and to the school called now Rivier University. Mm-hmm. I ask myself constantly, what have I done for others today, especially the city of Nashua, which I love dearly. And I just can't thank you enough for all of that information. Another question would be, who are some of your outstanding, I don't know, maybe you can't name them, but super achievers? How do you get those people in flow? How do you, at Rivier? I come over every once in a while. I don't see you, but there's a school for elderly seniors that.
Our RISE, our Rivier Institute for Senior Education.
Yeah.
A real example. They're some of our finest ambassadors, and they are an example that learning is a lifelong process. You can never stop learning.
Right.
So that's a good. Well, let me kind of rephrase that question. Rivier alums are in the fabric of our communities. They're everywhere. They're the fabric. You can have individuals that, might be known throughout the world. But when you need a nurse, when your children need a teacher, when you're working in a tech business, when you're in a hospital lab, you find Rivier students. And so, not to discount the famous, let's really celebrate our men and women graduates who are the fabric of our communities and are staying in New Hampshire in this region to raise their families, to contribute to civic discourse, to expand the economy. They're the Rivier alums that we celebrate every day.
Did you know how much you bring to the city of Nashua? Did anybody tell you?
Well, the university has nearly a $40 million budget, and we employ close to 250 individuals at every level. But we know our Science and Innovation Center is bringing close to $20 million worth of construction.
Congratulations.
To the city. We know our President's Circle, who are a great group of leaders, are bringing political notables, bringing government notables, bringing people into the city that look at the workforce for the next century.
Are you sharing much of that with the city of Nashua? Or are they aware of this?
Yeah, they are. Mayor Donchis, Mayor Lozo, very supportive.
Yes.
Very, very supportive. And you might have seen our billboard, because we take this to heart. Nashua is our home, and the world is our classroom.
Wow.
So,
folks, did you hear that? The president here of Rivier University says Nashua is the home, but the world is the classroom. How powerful is that?
Isn't that great?
That is. On that note, sister, how do you attract people from around the world?
Well, we touched on it, our faculty and curriculum, but I think the city of Nashua itself is a magnet. Several years ago, we had a very large number of students from India, from Hyderabad specifically. And so what was attractive? Well, the people and the welcoming of people as a welcoming city. Transportation was key. I think Nashua's transportation, both internationally and nationally, is superb. Recreation and just simply the beauty, the walkability of the city is important. And then retail. You know, you really can't beat Nashua as a destination for retail and for restaurants, for fun things to do.
Wow.
So I think there are three things that are very notable that help attract students from abroad.
Do you offer financial aid to some
Absolutely.
of those students who can't afford? And then, sister, what is the tuition at?
Well, our tuition is just about $31,000, and the university offers over $14 million a year in financial aid. Because one of our commitments to students is affordability and value. And that's what parents are looking for. They're looking for an institution that cares about education, cares about student persistence, cares about safety, cares about the curriculum. And then they want to know, is this a good value? Am I getting my money's worth? And so we can say at Rivier, yes.
In addition to that, let's say, for instance, if you have some undergraduates who just can't find a job, do you help them find a job?
Well, Harvey, it's interesting that you bring that up. Let me just share with you the Rivier University Employment Promise. So we make a promise to our students when they enroll. We promise that as you persist through your 4-year education and you engage in the curriculum, you engage in outside activities related to your academic discipline, we promise if you don't have a job in your field within 9 months, we will give you 6 graduate courses, essentially half a master's degree, or we will pay 1 year of your guaranteed student loan.
Nashua, did you hear that? We will play it for you again and again and again. And those people who want to do it can, so don't tell me you can't. Take can't out of your vocabulary. Just walk over here to Rivier University, and you don't have to see Sister Paula. See anybody over there, they will direct you.
Absolutely. Stop in Madeline Hall. But the important part of that promise, Harvey, is the idea of partnership. That when a student enrolls at Rivier, we believe in their success, and the resources from our faculty, from our Academic Success Center, from our Student Affairs staff, from our Career Center, which is really very forward-looking. We combine academic and career advising. You know what? We'll be with our students side by side.
Let me ask you this. How is it that Nashua and Harvey and this Access Nashua television station help you do that in addition to what you're doing?
Well, I think it's always about getting the word out. Students and their families have a number of choices for higher ed, right within this region and beyond. And so our best advertising is really our students who have had a sense of the community, have a sense of our activities in athletics and student government and campus ministry and our nursing association. I think what you mentioned when you went to Immaculata High School, students want to belong. They want to have a sense of fitting in. They want to find friends. And I think that's an important element of the Rivier community, that students and all different types of students find a place where they're respected, a place where they're supported, a place where they're challenged, and a place where they're encouraged. And that's our greatest success.
And at that point, that student would probably feel worthwhile, because that's a lot of hope missing in a large number of people who are younger, particularly in families where there's one parent. And usually in our case, the father is gone. In this city, I point the finger. There's a huge number of young mothers with 2 and 3 kids, with 2 and 3 jobs. And we're trying to fix that. We're trying to work on it. It's out there. And we have a community called Nashua, New Hampshire, and we can do something about it. And we are working on it. There are kids, like 12,000 kids, who don't have lunch in the evening, in Jim Doncher's and Soup Kitchen, and all of us just trying to make it better for those who come behind us and give them some hope that we love them. They're part of our community. They're part of our society. They are us. We're genetically connected, whether you like it or not. And not you, sister. I'm talking about the world. Some people, well, we don't do that, but we are.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to try to keep you much longer because I know you're busy. You got a heavy load, but you have a marvelous team.
I do.
And you have one marvelous guy, Joe LaPlante,
Yeah.
who is a friend of ours, and he is on the horse all of the time talking about the school and what it
Yes.
offers. I have a couple of questions. I'm going to let you go. What is it that, since you've been here in your 9 years, that made you laugh till your sides hurt?
Well, I would say when we introduced our Raider mascot, and our Raider came into the room, and it was a kind of a great unveiling, and that Raider was great with, so much energy. When the Raider meets young children and they don't know what to make of this towering figure. So that's what has made me laugh, our Raider.
That's great. Now, the science building
Yes.
is my love. I have a major in biology and chemistry. I've studied at so many schools because of Sister Mary Honora. I've worked on a master's in urban studies. I've worked on a master's in biology and chemistry. I've worked on a master's I got a master's from Rivier University. But that sister, that embraceable you, that made me feel I was worthwhile. I'm still learning. I'm still learning to do things. And I take a course every once in a while at my alma mater. I took a course in Chinese. I can't speak it, sister, but I took it anyway. And I'm just so fond of education. And hopefully I keep learning more and more. And one day I might speak Latin, maybe. Now, finally, 1 or 2 things, maybe 3 things that we don't know about you, that I didn't ask about you, that you want to tell us about you.
Well, I'm not unlike Rivier students. When I went to Immaculata and earned my undergraduate degree, that our students are busy, and I was busy as a student. Our students are goal-focused, and I was goal-focused as a student. Our students want to do good in the world, and that was part of my aspiration. I wanted to do good in the world, too. So, a little bit about me. I was a lifeguard. I taught guitar. And that's just pretty much the highlights, Harvey.
Now you know the person who is running this train over at Rivier University, and she has a fantastic team because she cannot do it alone, and we need your help, Nashua, to keep bringing students over to Rivier University, where they will be embraced, loved, and pulled, sometimes pushed, to do the right thing. Sister, I can't thank you enough. This is not the last time.
No.
Because I want to see that science building up and what progress we're making. down the years, because you need to stick around and help us do that.
Well, thank you. Our Science and Innovation Center will open in July
Of 21?
2020.
2020,
And
that's fast.
we expect our fall class of 2020 to be in 36,000 square feet, 8 scientific labs, state-of-the-art technology, and really a beacon, not only for Rivier, but for the greater Nashua region as we look at science and technology and health sciences as, part of our mission to help create, supply, educate the workforce of the future.
I can't tell you, sister, how proud I am of you and all that you're doing. I am just at the height of Ecclesiastes. Thank you so
Harvey.
much for
It's been a
coming,
pleasure.
and hopefully we will do all of the things you need to do to keep making progress. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, sister.
Much appreciated.
And we will be back to see you later, folks. You're listening to Harvey Keye at Nashua Strong. And do come back again. We'll be back next week. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.